Hey everyone, I'm Jordan from Upscale Audio, and today I have with me
Joel from Upscale Audio.
And what we're doing today is we're doing another comparison of two streamers, but now at a higher price point. We have the HiFi Rose RS150B at $5,000, and we have the Auralic Altair G2.1, and that's going to be at $6,100. Now, Joel, I think you were telling me there's a promo though, right?
Yeah, there's a promo right now. Check the website for prices. If you're not sure, call in. There are people standing by to take your calls. So, we're happy to talk to you. We're not on commission. We're going to get paid.
Definitely. Now, we did go and sit down, compare both systems, and we used the same exact speaker integrated, which we did use the Revel. I think they were the F. Which one?
The massive 328s, which the mighty Hercules could have put under one arm and taken down the vaunted walls of Troy.
There you go.
Helen, hang on!
And with that, we have them paired along with the Prima Luna Evo 400 integrated. Ooh. Amazing piece. We all really enjoy Prima Luna here. Oh. That's how much we enjoy Prima Luna. We did have them connected to the Isotech V5 Electra. And now that was just as a power conditioner for everything. That's exactly how a power conditioner works.
Sucks all the noise out.
Yeah, yep. So in total, our system, excluding cables, came out to about $25,000, which is probably a system that both of these units can definitely go into. Going over each one, they have their own unique functionality, and they both look very different from each other. As far as it goes, the Altair and the HiFi Rose can both be used as preamplifiers and streamers, which is a really cool functionality. One major difference has to do with how the volume gets controlled. The Auralic has a volume knob, which is what I would prefer, whereas the HiFi Rose has a capacitive touchscreen.
Say that again, please.
A capacitive touchscreen.
That sounds modern, doesn't it? I'll tell you what.
Chrome would not be happy with that wizardry.
No, it would not. You've got Sparta here, and you've got the Parthenon, or whatever,
Now, we do have other YouTube videos on our channel discussing both units, so if you do want to get more in depth as far as connectivity goes, feel free to check out both of those videos, which we will have linked right above. I'll go over it very briefly because there is one major point that I wanted to touch on for the Auralic, and that is that there is no digital out.
That's correct. It is a DAC only. The streamer cannot be hot rodded with an outboard DAC. You must use this DAC.
Yeah.
Which is a fine DAC.
Which actually, it sounds amazing, and we'll talk about it more when you go into the tonality of both units. One additional piece of information I wanted to share is that the HiFi Rose, besides having a variety of inputs and outputs, is that the HiFi Rose can connect with the RS780 CD player. That way you're able to rip CDs or just listen to them on your HiFi Rose, which that's unique. I don't know many other brands.
Match it up with that steampunk. I think they have two steampunk integrated
they're
amps.
integrated, yeah. I think that's exactly what they were listening to when they designed those steampunk units.
I think they did.
Now, we're not here to listen to those though, or compare those. We're here to talk about these two units. They both have their own applications. So you do have the Lightning DS app for the Auralic. And for the HiFi Rose, we are using the HiFi Rose Connect application. You can use a variety of different streamings for both of them, but we used Qobuz today.
We did.
Right? Which the two songs that we used, well, for me, I picked Skyfall by Adele, just an amazing reference track that I use on almost every system I get to listen to. And Joel, what was yours? Because I'm not familiar with it.
I chose a completely live in a small classic jazz club. Four of the best bluegrass players that ever walked the earth, the Seldom scene. Mike Aldridge, I think, is the greatest dobro player that ever will breathe. And it's all one pass live, four geniuses with mandolin, banjo, upright bass, and the dobro, and three beautiful voices. And it's all captured live in one pass. It's wonderful. It's live at the cellar door.
And
the Seldom scene, Muddy Water.
You said Muddy Water. You said he's one of the best dobro players out there, and I have to agree with you because I don't know any other dobro player myself.
They call it a resonator. Some of them are made out of National. The resonators, made out of it's this steel guitar. It has, and you can really get a twang and a half out of that. But if you're a maestro, that twang can lead to a beautiful, sophisticated string to the deepest part of your heart.
You know what, Joel? And that's why you're on here, because you are the linguist out of all of us.
Ooh, I try. I practiced when I was in college.
Now I want to talk about briefly the applications for both units. Joel, you did go ahead and try them both yourself as well.
Yes.
What was your experience? Was one easier than the other? Did you have the same time?
Yeah, the HiFi Rose, you know, it was much more pleasant to use. Again, go back to Sparta, you know, tactile touchscreen, capacitive
touchscreen.
No, we got a knob, you know. There's what you need to see.
Definitely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's not. You could say that the HiFi Rose is cluttered. You know,
sure.
But it's laid out very well.
Yeah, both applications do work for the same kind of process, which was streaming music. Now, as far as usability, personally, I leaned a little bit more towards the HiFi Rose.
Of course.
This is based off of an Android operating system. The application itself is laid out kind of in suit, where there's a variety of different folders depending upon what you're listening to, what you're connected to, and settings that you want to change. The Auralic was actually a little bit more direct, so it kind of reminded me closer to like iOS almost.
Yeah. DOS.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
No, DOS?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't try to make jokes that I'm not fully certain of.
So we're going to talk about Microsoft DOS now, right?
No, we're not.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
So you know what? Instead, we'll talk about Tonality.
Oh, yes.
Our favorite section and what we're getting into the meat and potatoes of. Now, Joel, let's start with Muddy Water. Let's go with the Auralic first. What do you think? What you get out of it?
The Auralic, like all of the Auralics I've heard, incredibly neutral. None more neutral, none more transparent for the money. Doesn't add anything. The as far as lateral soundstage was great, like most Auralics. It was slightly a step or two back than the average, I would say. Reasonable depth, but it's not going to be like you're in the second row unless you pull. But anyway, the just very neutral, very, very neutral. And in close, it breathed, and the images were large, and that led to great microdynamics. Not the kaboom stuff, but the as opposed to just attacks and decays.
This is why you're here, man. I wouldn't be able to have the same verbose vernacular that you have when it comes to describing audio. I almost made the mistake.
When you will, you won't say verbose vernacular. But that day will come.
So in my mistake, I almost said that the Auralic is clinical, not knowing that it has a negative connotation.
Yeah, that's a harsh word for some people.
Which I don't mean that by any means that this is a harsh unit. It's just very transparent. It's almost, I would say, precise or exact in regards to tonality coming out of the instruments. It sounds exactly like those instruments.
It can be almost squeaky clean.
It can be, and that's a good descriptive of it. Now, for your track in particular, it was a live recording. So it did somewhat feel like I was listening to the band on a stage, but it felt like they were maybe a little bit closer to each other. It's like almost rubbing up elbows on each other sometimes, which 100% could have been during the recording.
No, I agree. You're right.
It sounded great on the Auralic, but to me, it sounded a little bit more open on the HiFi Rose. And I think you can agree with that.
Yes, but it's a weird thing. I think as far as sound staging, and I'm hearing it with these two guys, and maybe I'm nuts. I sell hi-fi for a living, but the in close part of the sound stage was open, and the images were big on the Auralic. The in close parts of the HiFi Rose, we'll talk about tonality, but they were smaller, but a little more sharply focused, but not in a hard way. Smaller, more sharp, and it didn't seem to breathe quite as much. But it was, what was your comment that I'm actually responding to?
said the sound stage was a little bit wider. It felt like the instruments were
yes. So on the macro sound stage, the entire hall, the walls, the floor, and all that, the HiFi Rose did render that more realistically.
Yeah,
I agree. The Altair didn't render the outside edges of the whole soundstage as realistically. I agree.
Both were a great experience to listen to.
Yes.
Now let's jump into the track that was my pick, which was Skyfall by Adele. Listening on both systems, I've listened to Skyfall on most things that I've listened to. To me, on the Altair, it sounded amazing, big. Now that could be attributed to the speakers, but those opening horns drew me in with the Auralic. Coming into the piano piece that follows the horns, it sounded like they were attacking the keys. You felt the speed behind it. Now, I love that. That was amazing. You had a little bit of a contradictory when it came to Skyfall.
I'm still agreeing with you pretty much.
Okay. Now, what did you think with the Auralic in particular?
With your cut, and you pointed it out. I mean, well, you know the cut. Whenever you're going to A/B something, use a cut that you love, that you know like the back of your hand, but mainly that you love it, because he's hearing stuff that a song he kind of likes he would not hear. So the opening brass crescendo, that was, and again, that's the up close soundstage. That was really nice. Same thing with the piano keys going ding ding instead of the attacks were much more precise and decays. It was much faster. I'm totally with you. And this is in close up soundstage.
Yeah.
Well, not counting the outside walls.
Which actually, kind of getting into that, as far as soundstage goes, to me, it almost sounded as though I was listening inside of the studio while this was being recorded.
Yeah.
Adele felt very present. The band felt like they were inside of their orchestra sections, but it did feel like it was all within a room. And I was getting my own personal recording of Skyfall.
Yeah.
Now, that does contrast quite a bit with the HiFi Rose. The HiFi Rose, to me, did sound a lot wider, to the point where it almost felt as though I was getting a personal performance in a concert hall.
Yeah.
Which was amazing, unique.
Yeah.
It came through a little bit warmer to me as well. And in focus on the piano keys, it didn't feel as much as attack, whereas a gentle press. Now, what did you think of it, though?
I agree 100%. It's not as, the double R, ruthlessly revealing. As long as the rest of your gear is not, hard at all, ruthlessly revealing can be a wonderful thing. But the HiFi Rose did add some lyricism to it. There was more natural sweetness, more natural colors. We're getting really esoteric, like it's all esoteric, but yeah. And even though it didn't have the staccato attack drive, it was moving in a lyrical way, like flowing. It had much more of a lyricism.
Now, Joel, if you have to pick one of these two as your forever piece, you taking it home, what you picking?
It depended on what I was running it with, sir. Now, if I had me a little old single-ended triode SET, they have lots of lyricism. I might just go with the Auralic. If I wanted if I felt I was lacking in lyricism, I would certainly go with the HiFi Rose, and enjoy their ease of use, their multitude of features as well.
Yeah.
It's always about matching.
Now, did the app play any factor into that for you, or are you calling me up for troubleshooting regardless of what?
Yeah, I mean, the Auralic app is startlingly Spartan. It's not fun to look at, but I could probably figure that out pretty quick. But the HiFi Rose app was more inviting. There was more clutter to it, you could argue, but it was easier on the eyes and seemed a kindler, gentler app.
Definitely. For me, if I'm picking one piece based off of my gear at home, I'm leaning towards the HiFi Rose personally. I always kind of lean closer to something that sounds a little bit warmer off the bat, and it just might be because my stuff is a little bit more, and I'm going to say it against my own products, clinical sounding, more exact, precise. Both amazing options regardless of which way that you go. Now, if you do have any questions on them, feel free to reach out to us here at Upscale Audio. You can reach out to me, we got Joel, a variety of different people here, because Joel, do you work off commission?
No, I get paid a darn good wage and treated fairly, and so I'm happy to talk to anybody who calls me.
And you know what? That goes the same along for me. So if anything, feel free to reach out to us. If you like this kind of video, consider liking it. If you like this kind of content in general, consider subscribing down below. And leave a comment if you want to see more of Joel and me on this channel, because I know I do. Look at that pretty face. If you don't want to see any more of Joel and me, also leave that in the comments down below. We do take criticism to heart. Just keep that in mind. Now, here at Upscale Audio, we'll treat your system
the way we treat as if it were ours.
You know what? That was a little bit longer, but I'll take it.
As if it were ours.
Bye, guys.
Bye.